Hey there, friends. Hope you're having a great day. Man, things just keep getting weirder with a lot of these headline stories that we've had recently. The Trump assassination attempt, nothing still makes sense. More on that on another video. And this shooting in the Appalachia area in Georgia. Crazy stuff, man. First, guys, I want to show you something pretty cool. You probably recognize the front portion of this rifle by CMMG. It's the Descent. It's got the forward charging handle. That's ambidextrous. Switch it around, do whatever you want. However, have you seen this? How cool is that? Essentially, it's a Descent AR front with a, let's just call it a Remington 870 Magpul tactical buttstock on the back side of it. This is the profile of gun that I grew up with. I didn't grow up with AR-15s. I probably didn't have my first AR-15 until probably the middle 90s before I bought my first AR-15. I had shot them, obviously, but had never purchased one. This is really cool because I feel like I'm at home with these old school controls or layout, if you will, of the BR4 by CMMG. I really encourage you to check this out. Of course, I have a Gideon optic on it. Also, this thing is my new favorite. Look for a review on this very, very soon. If you're interested in something like this, they got a website. I can't point you to it, and I'm not going to point you to it. And I heard that if you use a code that I have a t-shirt that says FTATF on it, you will actually meet some kind of a discount. But I'm not sending you there. I'm just telling you that it does, in fact, exist. Check them out. The BR4 by CMMG. This thing is sweet, and again, it's my new favorite. Washington Post exclusive headline, mother of Georgia's suspect is said to have called school before shooting, warning of emergency. Now that headline seems a little bit protective because it said is said to have. She said she did. She's got everything else, like the call log and everything else saying she did. Somebody's about to have to do some covering of yo, if you know what I'm talking about. The mother of the suspect at Appalachia High School gunman told family members that she called the school on the morning of the shooting and warned a counselor about a, quote, extreme emergency involving her 14-year-old son, according to text messages obtained by the Washington Post and an interview with a family member. Again, they provided the proof. They showed her the call log and the text messages regarding the conversation with the school the morning of the shooting. The Post goes on to explain that that account is supported by a call log from the family's shared phone plan, which shows a 10-minute call from the mother's phone to the school starting at 9:50 a.m., about a half an hour before witnesses have said the gunman opened fire. Quote, I was the one that notified the school counselor at the high school. Marcy Gray texted her sister following the shooting on September 4th, according to a screenshot of the exchange. Of course, Marcy Gray is the shooter's mother. I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him. Now, I found this part to be extremely odd and it's a little bit confusing to me because I'm not really sure what took place here. A counselor told Gray, in other words, the counselor told the mother who was making the phone call that her son had been talking about a school shooting that morning, according to Gray's sister, Annie Brown, who described family discussions of the events to the Post. So just so I get some clarity on this, this Washington Post article is not only stating that the mother called the counselor or the school to warn them and spoke to a counselor, but that the counselor told the mother when she made that phone call that the son had been talking about a school shooting that morning already. I'll get more into the details, but I have to stop for a sec. I don't understand the aloofness in today's day and age, especially with a person involved in the school system. Public school systems are a dump. It's the lowest common denominator. Yeah, there's some good people in the school system, but trust me, we don't have the best of the best going into administration or the school system. It's simply not. To continue, around the same time that this call was being made, a school administrator went to the son's math classroom, according to Lila Sayarath. I'm sorry, again, no offense meant for me getting that name wrong, who was a student in the class. Lila was one of the students, actually sat right next to the shooter in this case. Sayarath said there seemed to be confusion involving another student in the class with a name similar to that of Gray's son. Neither student was in the room, and the official left with the backpack belonging to the similarly named student, she said. The shooting began minutes later. Okay. So again, are there identified levels of incompetence? Because I kind of want to know what I'm dealing with here if I ever have to deal with this person. So you have a school administrator. Remember, these are people who got promotions into vice principal, maybe counselor, principal. They moved up, right? They probably started out as educators and then moved their way up. So this was a person who was a learned person who got a phone call from the mother of Colt Gray. Now, Gray might seem like a somewhat common last name. How many people do you know that have the first name of Colt? And this person went to the classroom and somehow managed to ask for another kid who had a name similar to Colt Gray. We're talking about somebody who gives spelling or gave spelling tests for a living, reading comprehension tests for a living, and now they're the boss of all that. And they can't walk from an office down a hallway to a classroom with two words in their mouth, the first and the last name of a particular child, and get that right? Incredible to me. So they go to this class, the correct student, Colt Gray, who had already left to go get his rifle to shoot the school up, and the kid who had a similar name, neither one of them were there. So the person left. The administrator just left. Can't find him. I'm out. Now, the phone log, text, and interviews provide the strongest indications yet that officials at Appalachia High were, in fact, alerted to concerns about the suspect on the morning of the shooting and may have been looking for him in the minutes before he allegedly killed 4 people and injured 9 with his rifle. The texts also show that the school and family were in contact about his mental health a week before the shooting, and that Brown, who was the aunt of the shooter, told her relative the teen was at the time having homicidal and suicidal thoughts. And y'all still want to get mad at me whenever I say he was taking psychotropic drugs. Just wait, it'll come out. Now, ironically, in light of the screw-up by their administration, Barrow County School System Superintendent Dallas LaDuff did not answer detailed questions from the Post and told reporters to instead contact law enforcement. Quote, "Our focus is currently on healing our community and supporting our students during this incredibly difficult time. No, homie, what we're really focused on is trying to figure out how something this stupid could have happened. And it looks like you guys played a significant role in it. So good luck trying to put somebody off on law enforcement. Hey, go ask them. I don't want to answer the tough questions. No, we're coming back. I'll be making a phone call tomorrow to your office to try to find out how you managed to let this happen. Quit making excuses for the screw-ups and explain what happened and how you managed to get 2 words wrong right before a school shooting." After the story was published, Marcy Gray, who was a mother, reached out to the Post to confirm the details in the text and the phone log. She declined to elaborate on what had prompted her to call in the warning to the school, but said she had shared that information with law enforcement. She called the shooting absolutely horrific and expressed remorse for the students and parents affected. She told the Post, "I am so sorry and cannot fathom the pain and suffering they're going through right now." Now, Marcy Gray, the mother, is saying that when she made the phone call, she did tell them specifically what the danger was. Now, she's not saying it to the Post right now, but I would imagine, if you think about this, now she didn't live with the shooter, right? The dad did. I would imagine somebody likely saw the firearm, saw him with it, or they noticed that it was missing. And they knew that he was having trouble, probably a lot of anxiety heading into going to a new school. He was actually entering into a new school. He left middle school last year and was going to high school this year. There's anxiety for every child out there when that happens, right? I mean, it's never a smooth transition without a little bit of nervousness, butterflies, and anxiety. It sounds like with the problems this boy had in his own head, mentally, choices he was making personally, that the heat was probably going to be a little bit worse. So his anxiety level is already probably pretty high, and the family knew about it. Again, they talked about this with the school, in fact, a week prior, and talked about what to look out for. This warning seemed to go, kind of blown off a little bit. Yeah, did they act on it? Of course they did. This mother was not calling to say that the son forgot to charge his iPad that morning, right? She wasn't calling to say that he ate something that upset his stomach. She was calling to say that there was an extreme emergency regarding her son. The level of aloofness and the level of concern to go down there, not lock the school down, to go, how easy is it to lock one school down, right? That kid is in that school. And then whenever you go to the classroom and the kid that you're worried about having an extreme emergency isn't present, you haven't laid eyes on him, and you don't then lock the school down? Everybody stay in place, don't open any doors. Let's find this guy. You had 3 resource officers on campus. No level of heightened awareness took place. Again, this school is going to have to answer for this. That person who went down there, the counselor who took the call, anyone who was within earshot of that conversation and knew what was happening and didn't react in a harsher way to protect everybody there in such a volatile situation, they have some questions to answer. To add a little bit more, Brown, who again is the sister of the shooter's mom, Brown said that her sister called the school after she learned something concerning about her son and feared an impending disaster. Yet you stroll down the hallway, you still at this point being warned of an impending disaster that day. You stroll down the hallway without any kind of heightened sense of awareness, without shutting the school down, without a warning to resource officers. You go down there, the person who's suspected of carrying out an impending disaster is not in the room, and you stroll back to the front office and still don't lock the school down. Moments later, the kid is shooting other children in the school. What the F? The shooter's mother's sister previously told the Post that her nephew had spent months, quote, begging for mental health help, and that the adults around him failed him. His struggles were complicated by a difficult home life. Now, 2 weeks before the shooting took place, the teen's grandmother, Deborah Palamas, had met with a school counselor to request help for the boy. The Post had previously reported. She stated he starts with a therapist tomorrow. So she was notified and met in person with the school about the troubles this boy was having. Now, it's not clear whether the suspect attended that therapy session. In an August 29th text with a family member, Brown, again, who was a sister of the mom, said she was hopeful about plans the family had made with the school, right, to get her nephew into therapy. She also raised concerns about her nephew's access to guns in the home. Quote, he has been having homicidal and suicidal thoughts. He shouldn't have a gun, and he should have been in therapy months ago. This is the kind of stuff that's maddening when you go back and look at stuff. Oh, we never saw the signs. We didn't think he was capable of that. And you got all this stuff right in front of you. You literally have the dot. This is the easiest connected dots. You got A, B, C. They're like literally in a line. You just follow them down. And it takes you to what this kid carried out. I would be willing to bet that if this kind of warning took place in any other school that was seemingly competent, the outcome would have been different. We may have thwarted some cases like this. I mean, if you think about it, if you can intervene soon enough when something like this is happening before the child, the 14-year-old, has actually acquired the gun or brought the gun to school, if you're able to act on these types of warnings sooner before they ever get to that point, you may actually be saving lives and you don't realize it. There may have been school shootings that have been thwarted as a result of more competent people reacting properly when something like this actually comes to their attention, instead of acting like these idiots at Appalachia. After the shooting, the suspect's mother expressed frustration that the school had not prevented the tragedy. Text messages show the amount of time that elapsed between her warning to the counselor about her son and the first shots fired was, quote, just a long time for them to intervene, so I'm curious to know what happened in that time. Having those text messages and phone logs and anything else that she has is going to be very valuable going forward. Because this school system, being a government-run government school, is going to sweep this under the rug. And there ain't nothing you're going to be able to do about it if you don't have proof. If it's your word against theirs, they're going to win every time. If she's got call logs and she's got text messaging, screenshots and things of that nature, emails, whatever, She's got records of this stuff. That's going to matter. But again, they're going to get their way if she doesn't have her ducks in a row regarding this. Now, the girl who did not open the door, remember we talked about this a couple days ago in the class with Colt Gray, Sayerath was the last name, 16. She told the Post that she was in her second period algebra class shortly after 10 a.m. Wednesday when an administrator came looking not for Colt Gray, but for another student who sat nearby and had a similar name. That student had gone to the bathroom. The algebra teacher told the administrator the student's red and black backpack was still in the classroom, and the administrator took it with her when she left. In that moment, Colt Gray was also not in the classroom. He had left. Again, that should have been a red flag that both of these students that had similar names, regardless of which one this stupid administrator was looking for, that they weren't there and they had called talking about a potential disaster. Should have been something that everybody said, oh crap, he's not here. What is he doing? Shortly after that, the student with the similar name to Colt Gray returned with his backpack. He told Sayerath that an adult in the hallway had asked him about a first period teacher he didn't have, and that he believed that the adult may have been looking for Colt Gray. So the kids are smarter than the stupid administrators. Not long afterward, a voice came over the intercom asking the teacher to check her email, according to Sayerath. The teacher walked to her computer, then continued going over algebra problems. Moments later, Colt Gray approached the classroom, and the teacher said up to the intercom, "Oh, he's here." Another student was about to open the door to let him in, but then noticed he had a gun and stepped back in alarm. The door was locked, and the armed teen could not get into the classroom. He went to the classroom next door and started opening fire. Now, the girl in the class, Sayerath, her mother said she believed school officials had been looking for the suspect and was furious they did not take more aggressive action sooner. Quote, "You were looking for the kid, and you didn't lock up the school when you found out he wasn't in class? If they had locked the school down, a lot of people might still freaking be here." You're right, Mom. You're exactly right. Here we go again with a government-run institution, education, which it should not be. It's not in the Constitution. It should be all run by the state, but nevertheless, it's a whole different video. A government-run institution, fat, bloated institution, blowing, spending money, but not putting it where it needs to be. With the falling upwards of people, you fail and you get promotions or lateral movements with equal pay or raises in some cases. The people who suck in many cases are in charge because not only do they suck at their job, but they suck in other ways, which allows them to get promotions, similar to Kamala Harris. So all of this is a corrupt system. The school system is absolutely corrupt. I don't care who you are, where you are. You have been dealing with a corrupt system somehow. You just may not know about it. The school system is an absolute mess. Nobody will be held to account here. What should happen is these parents, including this killer's mom, because they could have potentially stopped this boy going to jail for life. Now, I'm not making excuses for the boy. What I'm saying is, wouldn't it have been nice if somehow this boy would have been stopped before he took the lives of 4 innocent people and shot 9 others? Well, that would have been really nice, wouldn't it? But it didn't happen. Every warning was in place. You had already had, and I hate to use the term red flags, you had signs, let's just call it that. You had signs where the grandmother had already alerted the school a couple of weeks ago that the boy had mental problems. So this boy was already on a radar, not as a potential killer, I'll give you credit on that. But he was on your radar as somebody that's a little unstable. The grandmother's telling you this. She's telling you, please help me get this kid into therapy somehow. The mom calls the school that morning talking about a pending disaster and is worried about an extreme event that day. Not tomorrow, not next week. That very day. And a school administrator has no sense of awareness to understand this might be different than the little webinar that I took on a school shooting or whatever. This might be a little different. This might not be those false alarms, which, and I say that, but I'm pretty sure that's probably what you're going to find out. She used a certain series of things that she learned in some super silly webinar that was a 2-hour course that cost the school $250,000 for all the administrators to sit down for 2 hours and watch. They took the test and they got a certificate. Oh, now they're actually the people in charge of school security. Great. You're still stupid. You can train stupid all you want. It's still stupid. If stupid's not capable of learning and stupid's not capable of implementing what they learn, then they're still stupid, no matter what the paper says or what kind of information you try to force into that stupid idiot's brain. We had an idiot, a couple of them it sounds like. Sounds like we had the counselor and an administrator, likely a vice principal or principal, assistant principal, whatever you want to call them, that went down there and carried out all this the wrong way with zero sense of urgency. Y'all, I got chills on my neck when I read the story talking about how this administrator went to the class and both of the boys were missing. Now again, this idiot was looking for the wrong person because he or she was too stupid to remember 2 words, the first and the last name. That alone, I don't even want to talk about them having the wrong person. Let's say they said Colt Gray. Regardless, the subject of why they were there was not there. Either one of the boys could have been the subject, but the subject to why they were talking about an impending disaster was not in the room. That made the hair stand up on my neck because that's creepy. It's like he was literally going to get his gun at that time. That's literally what he was doing. The boy left the room without his gun, came back with it. He was in the hallway, in the school somewhere, getting his gun, making it ready, while this idiot was in the class and just decided, he's not there. Let me go back to my class, my office, whichever. Failures at every step of the way. And this is only what we know about right now. If it's this bad already, from what the mother, and boy, you know the school's mad about this little girl spilling the beans about the administrator coming. Everybody's mad right now that this information is getting out. That's why the school board superintendent, who I am going to try to contact, that's why he won't talk to anybody right now, because they look stupid. You know what's going to happen? They're going to own this county. This school is going to get sued from, for sure, the 4 parents, likely most of the other kids in the class, including the ones who were shot. You'll likely get a lawsuit by the mother of this school shooter, who's going to say, you could have prevented my son going to prison for a lifetime and having all of this doom and this darkness piled on my family, which they were not the model family to begin with. But she may very well sue them because of what the school did not prevent and brought on to their family from here going forward. What a horrible turn of events. My heart immediately goes to those 4 people who lost their lives whenever I think of the levels of incompetence that took place in all of this. These 4 people, I'm looking out my window right now, and it is a beautiful, sunshiny day. Seasons are changing, heading into that fall, that crispness in the air. And these 4 people will not experience that. And it's because people did not do their job, or they didn't do it properly. And no one will be held to account. That hurts my heart, and it pisses me off.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.